a weird-looking storm, isn't it?
It is, but it makes me wonder if, because of where the radar is, it's hitting more through the
Well,
rain.
that's what John DeBlock of the Weather Service said. The hook echo is showing up on the 1.8 scan.
Right.
So you have to go up a little bit. It's so close to the radar. The actual spinning part of the storm may be a little higher than the radar beam. It's the opposite of the problem we have in West Alabama.
It's too close.
It's a little too close to the radar, but too close we can deal with. We can change the tilt that we're looking at and see everything we need to see.
It makes me wonder what it would look like from the Fort Rucker radar side.
I just tried Birmingham just
you?
to see that, but Fort Rucker's probably a little better choice. Yeah, you can sort of see what it would probably look like. This is probably more indicative of what it would look like on a 3-4 or higher, but yeah, there you go.
It's right there.
Yep, there's certainly it's certainly spinning.
Yeah.
So tornado warning now for the Armstrong, Cotton Valley, US 29 area. Southern Macon primarily. Northern Bullock is included in the warning still. If you live right along the Macon line, go ahead and stay in that tornado safe place. But so far, so good with that. Let's check in with meteorologist Amanda Curran. She is out in the field. We'll check in with her in a moment if we can line that up. We're going to check in with her in a few because she has had quite an afternoon, I would say, with witnessing an accident due to hydroplaning there in Autauga County. She was walking us through that, and during the live television interview, a state trooper walked up and started interviewing her, asking her questions about if she had seen what had happened. So we had to cut off the interview pretty quick so that she could cooperate with their ongoing investigation of that motor vehicle accident there in Autauga County. So happy to report as you look back to the west. So let's just do it this way. So we'll break this down. You've got zone 1 over here, and then 2 over here, and then all this is 3, right? So in zone 1, damaging wind is a problem right here. Chambers, Tallapoosa, northern Lee County. Zone 2, this one storm could be producing a tornado, southernmost Macon County. We'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, things are pretty well behaved. Back in zone 3, these storms are what we call multicellular. So that's actually good news. It sounds kind of spooky in a science geeky way, but it's actually good news. There's just a bunch of them all together, and like flowers in a garden, if they're planted too close together, they compete with each other for the same nutrients, and they don't do that much growing. So zone 1, wind damage. Zone 2, we're watching for a possible tornado. Zone 3, mainly just rain with a few embedded small cores of strong wind.
I'd almost add a zone 4 down here, just in case
keep an eye on
storms
yes, right.
kind of blossom up in certain portions of the state.
These were just what is happening right in this second. But Nick's exactly right in that.
And it looks like they did cancel that tornado warning, which is great to see.
All of this is sort of an area we'll need to watch. And I keep waiting on the tornado watch to get extended over into that part of the state. Guess they'll do that soon. Meteorologist Amanda Curran is ready now in Storm Tracker 12. She is out. She has had a pretty busy and somewhat stressful afternoon. Amanda, walk us through what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, so sitting here at the intersection of 23 and 31, right outside the Dollar General, we parked Storm Tracker in anticipation for more rotation coming out of northern Lowndes as that Elmore County storm was happening in northern portions of the county. As we were doing that on the side of the road, a car had started to hydroplane. So we use this as an example. We have the state troopers who are here. The driver has been taken to the hospital. We have also gotten word that that driver will be transported by helicopter, likely to Birmingham because of the condition of their health right now. So a really good emphasis on the fact that, yes, we talk tornadoes. Yes, we talk a threat of wind. Yes, we talk so many things when we talk about severe weather. But driving on wet roadways is very dangerous. We show you the scene right now. There is no active scene in the sense that we have the driver inside the car. They, about 30 minutes ago, were taken off by ambulance. We want to say a huge shout out to the Alabama State Troopers, the Prattville Fire and Police Department, the Pine Level Fire Department, and Haynes Ambulance, all very quickly responding in the middle of a very active weather situation, making sure that this person got the medical care that they needed. Unfortunately, though, we are just getting started with not only the wet weather, but the storm. So the best advice we can give you today, the safest place for you to be, likely going to be inside your house. But if you have have to be out on the roadways. We know not everybody has the luxury of being able to stay home. Hydroplaning is a real thing that can happen when water pools on the roadways. So remain calm and do not drive fast. These are not the kind of conditions you want to be speeding in. I know your natural urge, though, is to probably panic and slam on your brakes. That's the exact opposite of what you want to do. You want to slowly pump the brakes. What I can say from what we witnessed, the car sped in front of us and actually made contact with the tree after slamming on their brakes. So we know not everybody has the luxury of staying home every time rain falls out of the sky. People have to work, you guys have lives, but if it is not a necessary thing for you to be out on the roads today, tonight, early tomorrow morning, we suggest staying home. If you do have to be out there, make sure you're driving carefully. Do not drive distracted. Give yourself plenty of time to get where you need to go. Keep your First Alert weather app handy. You can track live interactive radar in the palm of your hand, not while you're driving, before you leave and get behind the wheel of a car and see, are the roadways going to be dry? Am I going to be driving through a deluge? If you come across ponding on the road, do not panic and do not slam on your brakes. That will make the situation worse. Nick, Josh, and Tyler, who is at home, hopefully sleeping now, we appreciate the coverage you guys have been providing. We've heard some reports from the Pine Level Fire Department about that house that was struck by lightning, allegedly. We cannot confirm that that is the case. They are on the scene right now of that fire. We've also heard of other damage. So what we are going to do locally here in the Otago County and Northern Elmore County area, likely go stay close to some of these storms because there's more coming our way, but also try to see if we can survey some damage, make sure there are people out there getting the help that they need. But live here in Storm Tracker, starting to pour again in northern portions of Prattville. We hope everybody stays safe today, and being home is probably the safest location you can be today.
That's outstanding advice, Amanda, and great work. We appreciate you and your genuine care and concern for people. That's the Amanda once came along on some people who had tornado damage and literally gave them the shoes off her feet.
Yeah.
And the jacket off of her. So she has not only scientific expertise in spades, but also a genuine care and concern for people, which is a big part of it. And we have a concern right now here, Nick, in southern Macon County.
Yeah, we're continuing to watch this tornado warning that is now exclusively a Macon County tornado warning. They have trimmed it away from northern portions of Bullock, so that's good news. But still, nevertheless, we need to stay in our safe zone as this tornado-warned storm is kind of skirting along the southern half of Macon County. The warning does not include Tuskegee, does not include any of the Interstate 85 corridor. It's mainly south of that along the U.S. Highway 29 corridor from Davisville down toward Cotton Valley and north of our friends in Armstrong. Downstream of this, Creek Stand is in this tornado-warned storm too. And if it does continue, it could cause some issues downstream of that for maybe southern portions of Lee and portions of Russell County. So that's something we're going to watch closely here. But we're continuing to watch this heavy rain from Tuskegee. Booker T. Washington High School points down southward. Davisville could be seeing some hail within this storm cell. We're seeing some very intense radar returns from our radar site that sits just north of this storm cell that we're currently watching. And there have been some indication of rotation within this storm. Nothing confirmed on the ground at this time, but nevertheless, something we're treating very seriously here because we've had past experiences with damage from storm systems, specifically over in Perry County and other locations in our area. So we want to make sure we're in that safe place now if you are in this current tornado polygon that is for southern portions of Macon County.
Yeah, and this is crossing Highway 29 right now, like you said, Nick, and a couple of different things here. The possible tornado will be right down here, right along the highway. Probably some hail falling, Davisville back up towards the south end of Tuskegee. So really, Tuskegee down 29 is maybe the worst drive in Alabama right now.
Yeah.
And this is a fairly, this is a part of the state that is great for growing things, but the drainage is not always great there in Macon County. In this part of the county, it floods a good bit. So if you don't have to drive out there, follow Amanda's advice. Just hang out at home. If you do have to drive, just take it slow.
Right.
Slow wins the race on a day like today. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, Wilcox County, Monroe County, northwestern Butler County. We'll take you down into the Mobile radar and show you that quickly here because these storms, by the way, are going to end up back in the Montgomery, Prattville, Millbrook areas later on. So if you live in Montgomery or Prattville or Millbrook and you're wondering In some cases, if you're texting me and asking me if there are going to be more storms later, the answer to that is yes, there will be more storms later. We don't know exactly how strong they'll be. We don't know what the tornado risk may look like, but there will certainly be more storms later today and tonight. Montgomery, Prattville, Millbrook, really all of our area, because when we watch this, when we go back out to the broader perspective here, you'll notice what's happening all the way back into Mississippi and even Louisiana. We've got thunderstorms. All of that has to come through. So we've got, I think, another probably 15 hours or so, maybe more, 15 to 17 hours of this. There will be a lull, though. That's the one piece of good news, maybe, a lull in this later on tonight. Unfortunately, Nick, we are not lulling just yet.
No, and we'll be here through the night. And we'll be on WSFA, all the social channels, providing you with the latest coverage, as always. And Team No Sleep, that's okay. We'll be here for you. Camden, just to the north and west of Greenville and Butler County. But right now, this is our most significant storm cell that we're currently watching, as this tornado warning is now crossing Highway 29 and moving towards southern portions of Macon County. And downstream of this, as we mentioned, if it holds together, thankfully there's a little bit more clutter ahead of this, so hopefully that could stabilize the air a bit. But nevertheless, it's something we're going to be watching downstream of this for that little appendage of Lee County where Highway 80 goes through it, and northwest portions of Russell County. Yeah,
and I'm not playing words with friends over here, I promise. Looking at the different tilts on radar scope.
Yeah.
And it looks similar, honestly. There's not a lot of that jumps out at you on this, but could there be a tornado in it? Sure. We can't rule it out. So Macon County, Cotton Valley to Creek Stand, stay in that tornado safe place. Lowest floor of your home, hallway, bathroom, or closet, unless you live in a manufactured or mobile home. If that's the case, you got to get out. Get out quick, go to the closest site-built structure. Now, when we say site-built, we just mean they built it there. Manufactured mobile homes, they build them somewhere else, put them on trucks, haul them in, drop them off, tie them down. But site-built structures, they're built there on location, usually on a concrete slab or on a crawl space setup. Those are the types of homes that fare better in tornadoes than manufactured mobile homes. So if you live in a manufactured mobile home, get out of it, go to the closest site-built structure. Brick house, vinyl house, log cabin, doesn't matter. They are attached to the ground more securely than mobile homes, so they fare better in tornadoes.
Yeah, and they just updated the polygon. They trimmed Cotton Valley out of it. Still include Davisville, Creek Stand, and that portion of Macon County. To your point, too, I've covered severe weather events. I know you've covered many, Josh, and a lot of times I've noticed that mobile homes, some buildings, they don't really know the difference between rotating winds and straight line winds. Right. And so just because it may not be a tornado there, it could be damaging wind gusts within these storm cells, and that still could produce an issue, cause a problem for many in our area. So that's something else to keep in mind with these severe thunderstorm warnings that we have populating, including the tornado warnings.
That's one thing. If I could wave a magic wand, that would be on the list, my top 5. People should take severe thunderstorm warnings pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Because he's exactly right. If an EF0 tornado hits and hurts somebody, we're not that surprised it's a tornado. But a severe thunderstorm does it, and we're all very surprised about it. Why? The wind was blowing 70 miles an hour both places.
Both times.
So it didn't,
It's just one's rotating, the other one's just straight.
One's in a circle, one's straight. Mm-hmm. But from a your house perspective, it's all about the same, So to that end, big wind threat right now up here with this. You've got a possibility of a little bow echo up there, I would say, coming right along the Tallapoosa Chambers line. So you need to be weather aware, and in that, stay indoors, stay away from windows, whole safety routine there for eastern Tallapoosa and much of Chambers County. We'll go over,
And with this rain getting close to the radar site, it may cause some issues for us for a little bit of time with the intense rain right over the radar. So something we'll just keep in mind as this moves through.
Watch this up here. The reflectivity gives me a little bit of indigestion. Up at the top of that, little backwards S or little soft C there around Dudleyville.
Well, I was noticing some of the storms south of the tornado warning that we have some ominous-looking stances there. Look at that one just outside of Union Springs to the east of it.
Kind of 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah,
aren't
there's
there?
several.
That's rotating.
And if you look at them on reflectivity, they're by themselves.
Small spinning showers.
Small spinning showers, and at any point, we could see them touch down or potentially cause issues downstream of that. One outside of Eufaula, another one north of Troy. So those are just some of the storm cells that we're watching as they move into East Alabama, move across East Alabama.
The south storm down here in Okaloosa and Santa Rosa County, Florida, has weakened. Happy to report that. So Covington County, you still need to be paying attention, but the threat of a tornado is not imminent and on top of you in this exact moment. Then kind of a gaggle of additional severe thunderstorm warnings over here into parts of Wilcox and Monroe County. We'll head over to the Mobile radar there. These look like small, intense cores capable of producing what's called a microburst. That's when you have a really strong core of wind that drops out of the sky, hits the ground, and spreads out. It affects a small area, but in that small area, it can potentially be dangerous, and maybe some hail in these storms as well.
Yeah, and we've had our fair share of wind issues lately. I know last Friday we had that wake low form causing some major wind across our area very rapidly. So we definitely need to stay weather alert with these severe thunderstorm warnings because, as we mentioned, these winds could be very excessive within these storm cells, rushing out of them, that colder air rushing out of the storm ahead of it, causing some of these severe winds kicking up. Could see that near Camden, northern portions of Butler County, portions of Wilcox County. It looks like they extended it from Camden all the way over toward the, I guess you could say the eastern half of Wilcox County is now under severe thunderstorm warning with that Boeing segment. So a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings in and around Wilcox and northern Monroe counties, really the far north and western portions of Butler.
Don't see a lot of rotation in that, but not to beat a dead horse here, but West Alabama simply has inadequate low-level radar coverage, so we often don't see much rotation. Even if the thing's spinning like the top in the lowest levels, we can't see it. But we are still working to fix that with our colleagues at the local, state, and federal level. So fingers crossed on that. So kind of as we've mentioned here, a couple of different situations, a risk of strong, damaging straight-line wind here, Tallapoosa, Chambers, Wilcox, northwestern Butler, northeastern Monroe. Tornado warning continues for southern and now kind of southeastern corner of Macon County.
Right.
So, and we're in constant communication with the National Weather Service. They say they're still kind of tracking that as far as any potential extension eastward. It's too early to tell. So just stay on your toes. If you live over here, Russell County, Hurtsboro to Sill and points north up towards Crawford, Marvin, and potentially southern Lee, but I think a lot of this would probably stay a little south of Lee County, but south of Beauregard, south of Smith Station, just be weather aware. I don't think you need to move. I don't think you need to be terribly concerned or spooked or anything. You just need to stay weather aware and be ready to move in case there is a tornado warning that gets issued for you.
Yeah, and seeing this area where there's just really no rainfall, a lot of inflow probably coming in within this storm cell, that's the reason why they're most concerned with it. Could still see some rotation in there. Essentially what happens is you have wind flowing into a storm, causing issues, and it does look more impressive than what it did earlier.
That's Fort Rucker right there. That's Rucker.
Here, let me turn that. Yeah, there you go. So that does look more impressive. When you have red and green close together, that's considered a couplet, and so red going away from the radar, green going toward, and that's an indication for us saying that there's rotation still within that storm cell as it moves really toward, was that Warrior Stand, as it moves closer to that area. So really, we still need to take precautionary measures downstream of this tornado warning as it continues to trek in southern portions of Macon County. It looks like it may move a little bit north of Creek Stand there, but still nevertheless, just stay in your safe spot until we give you the all clear as this tornado warned storm continues moving closer and closer. Looks like it would impact mainly Russell County as it moves that direction toward the east. It could clip a little bit of far southern portions of Lee County there, just the area where Highway 80 cuts across the county there, but still something we're watching closely with that rotation still present here from the Fort Rucker radar site.
New information.
Okay.
Tornado watch has been extended, so we're going to work on getting the map on that. So now what's happened, the National Weather Service has extended the tornado watch. It still expires at 8 o'clock, but it now includes Butler, Coffee, Conecuh, Covington, Crenshaw, Dale, Escambia, Geneva, Henry, Houston counties. So essentially now every county that we cover will end up
It looks like they added Pike and Barber to it.
at a Pike and Barber local extension, yeah. So it'll be everyone except Marengo. Marengo's actually
dropped.
They were dropped from this tornado watch. Now there could be another one that happens a little bit later on today.
And that will populate here in a minute. The National Weather Service offices have to issue that warning for it to populate on our map here. So we're just waiting for Tallahassee and Mobile
to hit send, basically.
Hit send for it to pop up.
Hit that send button
on that map.
Some trees down in the Parker Creek area. Good friend Herb letting me know about that. Landing is fine. Parker Creek Marina is fine. Just a few scattered trees down in a few spots there. That's on the western end of Lake Martin. So we appreciate that report, as always, from our friends up on the lake. Let's go back out the wider perspective here. So, again, we've sort of kind of storm triage this. You've got a possible tornado southeastern Macon, possible wind damage, Chambers, Tallapoosa, possible wind damage, Wilcox, northwestern Butler, northeastern Monroe. Of those three, the most serious and potentially life-threatening would be the possibility of a tornado here in Macon County. So we'll go into the velocity product here. That shows us how this is spinning, and I'll show it to you. It's right here. See it? Warrior stand, where red and green come together like this. Movement here, east to northeast. If this holds together, this will get over into mainly northern Russell County. There's an outside chance it clips the far southern tip of Lee County, but some reassurances here. The Beauregard area obviously hit hard with tornadoes a few years ago. This is almost certainly going to stay south of you, this specific storm. There are other storms that we'll have to watch for later tonight, so this is not at all clear, but this specific possible tornado would stay south of Beauregard and probably even south of Marvin. So this is mainly, it's a Macon County issue right now, and then a first alert heads up for northern Russell County. They could be next. There is some chance that the tornado warning gets extended into Russell County, pending what the next 10 minutes worth of data shows. That's the thing, is that there's no one, not me, not you, not Nick, not the National Weather Service, sort of knows how this is going to go. We have to wait and watch and get the new scan and get the new scan and get the new scan.
I'm still watching these storm cells to the south. They still are showing signs of rotation.
They're spinning.
A little more so than what they have before. So just the first alert that we're watching those two, especially this one down here in northern portions of north of Eufaula there. So something we're watching. Doesn't look too impressive from that radar site, but I have the other one up here. So just something we'll keep an eye out on.
That's one, you actually said that right, as John DeBlock with the National Weather Service said. Comer cell and Barber is equally interesting. Pike County cell, they all look similar. They're all relatively small, low-topped storms that are spinning like a top. So they're dangerous. Is there a tornado underneath that spin? No one knows yet, but there could be. So that's what we have to just sort of keep watching the data stream in here. So the new tornado watch goes until 5 o'clock this evening for Southwest Alabama, goes until 8 o'clock this evening for Butler, Conecuh, Covington, Crenshaw, and the rest of the state.
See, I wonder if it is finally populated here for us, so we can show it. Most of it has.
Most of it. Tallahassee is still
waiting.
Still working that out. So just so you at home know, Birmingham, the National Weather Service in Birmingham office covers Barber, Pike, Montgomery, Lowndes, Dallas, Marengo, and points north. And then Mobile, the office down in Mobile covers Crenshaw, Covington, Butler, southwest. And then Weather Service office in Tallahassee covers Coffee, Dale, Henry, Geneva, and Houston. So when you see things that look different, why is there no tornado watch here versus here? It's because Mobile has a faster hit send finger. Their thumb game is strong, Mobile and Birmingham. Tallahassee will work on that. So that's out of Tallahassee, Florida, by the way, not Tallahassee, Alabama.
Yeah, Tallahassee, Florida.
They run together.
Basically the Wiregrass counties.
The Wiregrass counties, that's Tallahassee. So you've got Macon County tornado warning here. Still off Fort Rucker. There's certainly rotation there. Nick, I'm interested in, I know it's close to the Maxwell radar, but I'm still intrigued as to why it doesn't show up very well.
Yeah.
That's
unless it's just trying so hard to push through all of that. And keep in mind, it's raining.
It's getting attenuated.
It is getting heavy rain over the radar site right now, which is probably causing some issues from the
That makes it
site
harder
itself.
for the beam to see things.
'Cause essentially, it's like, you know how we say, you know how hard it is to drive through rain. You can't see on
Right.
the interstate if it's just raining really hard. Well, sometimes it's hard for the radar to hit through all that rain when it's just getting pounded right now over it. And not only that, it's trying to go with the rain over the radar site itself. It's trying to hit through the rain of the storm, and that could cause some issues for a few minutes until that line gets away from the storm, the radar site itself.
So there you have it. Macon County tornado warning. Nick, I'm going to leave it in your capable hands.
Okay.
I'm being told I have to change the batteries.
Okay.
So we'll work on that with you in a moment as well. So
Right.
take it away.
All right, well, currently here's what's happening in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone. We have one tornado warned storm that we're currently watching here, and it does include portions of Macon County. I want to give you a wide view just so everyone's on the same page of what's currently happening across central and south Alabama. We have a very messy storm system that's currently working its way across the state. Earlier, we've had several tornado warnings. We're down to one right now. But we're watching multiple storm cells across the state that do show signs of rotation, and we're going to stay on the air with this tornado warning and continue watching these storm cells as they do continue moving across the state. So the one tornado warning storm, we'll take that one first, is in southern portions, really southeastern portions now of portions of Macon County, north of Creek Stand. This storm cell, generally speaking, was moving toward the north and toward the east at about 30 miles per hour. If the National Weather Service in Birmingham does decide to extend this warning, it looks like it would include portions of Russell County and maybe extreme southern portions of Lee County, that little appendage there as Highway 80 traverses that part of the county. Now, not only that, we have just a plethora of severe thunderstorm warnings currently working their way through the state. One up here in Chambers County, which they've thus extended into portions of Georgia. That's the National Weather Service out of Peachtree City that has extended that. Just a wall of water and very windy conditions moving through Lafayette. Looks like it'll hit portions of Valley. You are in this severe thunderstorm warning as well, and eventually we'll move along Interstate 85, generally toward the Kia plant there along the interstate. Now, as we head toward the south, we're also watching these two storm cells. One is currently working its way through Camden in Wilcox County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. We have two of them actually active. One of them does include the city of Camden. Another one includes western portions of Butler County, and then extreme eastern portions of Wilcox County. We did have another one that was just expired because they issued this new one here. And we'll go ahead and turn on the Mobile radar site as we continue to see this line of showers and storms work its way through. Camden, you're getting just inundated with rain right now. Let's see what the lightning tracker looks like. A lot of lightning within these storm cells as well. We have had issues of houses being struck by lightning with these storms as they move through the area. I know one up in Otaga County happened there. So lightning's nothing to play around with either as these storm cells continue moving across the region. Greenville, you're okay right now, but that severe thunderstorm warning includes this storm cell just outside of Pineapple, north of Herbert, Mount Moriah, in that area. It does not include Fort Deposit or Fort Dell, but that storm cell is just to the west of you. And then we're also watching all of these other severe storms, strong storms in southern portions of the state. You can see what we're talking about here down toward the Wiregrass. We'll go ahead and turn on the Fort Rucker radar site and give you a better view of what's happening with these. We're seeing a lot of storm cells here, heavy rain, lots of lightning within them. Luckily right now, none of these in southern portions of the state of Alabama or down toward the Wiregrass are severe at this moment, but something we're continuing to watch. Seeing a couple lightning strikes just north of Andalusia, looks like near Gant Lake, north of Gant in that area. We're also seeing some south of Luverne, seeing some heavy rain up toward Goshen as well. So that's currently what's happening at the moment. But of course, we're on the air right now because we do have this tornado warned storm that we're continuing to track here in Macon County as it continues working its way, trying to get outside of the tornado warned storm at the tornado warned polygon at the moment. Let's switch over to another radar site here. Still seeing a lot of lightning within the storm cell. North of Creek Stand is where the potential rotation is, but we're getting a little of issue. See up here, here's our radar site, the Montgomery radar site, getting a little bit of an issue with rainfall currently over the radar site, kind of causing issues with some of the data there. But it does look like the National Weather Service in Birmingham elected not to extend this tornado warning. They just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include a good chunk of southern portions of Lee County and northern Russell County. So this includes the Highway 280 corridor outside of Phoenix City up through Smith Station. Does not include Auburn or Opelika, nor the Interstate 85 corridor. Still, it's contending with lots of rain in that area, but it does include places like Crawford along Highway 80, up toward Mott's, and kind of along the Chattahoochee River there between the Alabama and Georgia state line. So that's our new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. That doesn't expire until 4:15 for Russell, and that includes Lee County as well until 4:15. But the good news is they're not seeing the rotation within the storm cell that was down there in portions of Macon County to extend that as a tornado warning storm. They've elected to do a severe thunderstorm warning. But right now, that tornado warning storm does continue until 3:45 for Macon County. Right now, it's 3:28 p.m., so we have a little bit of ways to go. But if that storm cell exits the tornado warned storm polygon, then they'll most likely allow that to expire early out of the region. So here's the wide view that we're currently tracking. We're not going to be done with this. Once this moves out, there's more storms to the south and west of us. We'll go ahead and turn on the national radar and show you this. A lot of messy reflectivity moving through the region, but you can see we're seeing more storms here in portions of southern Mississippi and Louisiana, and that is what we're watching for later on tonight. So even though we may see this initial wave move out of the region, you may be like, hey, what's happening? It's done. Well, no, we'll have more storms later on tonight. So that's the reason why we need to stay weather alert through the next several hours, through the nighttime hours as well. And of course, you can count on us. We'll be here through it all, through the entire event. And if we have to be on TV like we are now, we will. If we don't, then we'll be behind the scenes updating everyone else, because we truly try to be everywhere you are.
We do, yeah. Weather app, streaming online, Apple TV, Amazon, Roku, you can watch there.
Yeah.
If you're on a phone or a mobile device or a computer even, if you go to WSFA.com/live, you can watch there. You can watch free over the air with an antenna. You can watch on cable. You can watch pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere you are.
New tornado warning, Chambers County. Just saw that. So it looks like they're going to go severe out ahead of that. You
Right.
talked about that.
We talked about that,
That's
yeah.
good news. It's not an all clear, though. It just means
No.
the main threat has shifted from wind that spins in a circle to wind that hits you straight on.
And like we talked about earlier, still could cause issues.
Still could cause some problems there. So we can't give you an all clear, but we'll take that. That's not a bad development. So up here, Chambers County, tornado warning. This is the northeastern part of the county. We'll go into Maxwell, click on our storm relative here. A little bit of a couplet there.
Yeah,
Looks like
just
maybe
a little bit.
are there, kind of an elongated thing.
Yeah.
Check Birmingham too, maybe a little closer. Maybe not. So yeah, that would be the essential rain-wrapped
That
tornado.
is a very messy signature
If
there.
there's something in that, you'll never sniff it. From
The only thing I could
a
think
mile
of
away.
is there's a little bit of lack of heavy rain in that area. Maybe that's where the inflow is coming around.
Right.
But still very, very hard to see that by any means.
Tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one there. So this will be northern Chambers County, north of Buffalo, north of 5 Points, north of Lafayette. So this would be closer really to Wadley and southern Randolph County. It's just barely left in Chambers. I think they'll be able to trim Chambers out of that in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you live in Chambers County down around Valley and Lynette, that tornado is well north of you. And so we will mention it, but most people in this part of the country do not get the Montgomery television stations.
Yeah.
We wish they did.
Yeah.
We cover these constantly. Canceled tornado warning for Macon County
Good, good.
as of about 14 seconds ago.
I do know several people mentioned they can watch us in Valley. That's the one
Valley and
community
Lynette,
that
yeah.
I know that can
Southern
watch us,
Chambers, they
yeah.
can. You get up into northern Chambers, it becomes a bit more difficult. Quite frankly, I wish we had Randolph and Chambers County in our county list. We would serve them very well to the best of our ability, no doubt. So severe thunderstorm warnings now, southern Lee County, northern Russell County, northwestern Butler, and a big chunk of Wilcox.
Yeah.
It's raining hard at Tauga, Elmore, Lowndes County. Montgomery, mainly a break. There is one downpour on the northwest side of the city. Back into South Alabama, scattered intense thunderstorms down here. At this point in time, these are behaving. That could change at any given moment. But as of right now, closed. They've got a CC signature on that storm in northern Chambers.
Wow.
I would have never guessed. That's what these storms do, guys. They are just wonky little storms. They spin like tops. They're hard to track. They're hard to detect. And then they drop these tiny, you can see it right there.
Right there.
Right, boom. It was just there for a scan, gone for the next.
Yeah.
So it seems likely that we have had an EF0 or 1 tornado touchdown here in northern Chambers County. Now, this is going to clip our southeastern Randolph County. Now, if you have family or friends, I know Wadley, a lot of people send their kids up to Wadley to go to Southern Union. This tornado is going to go south and east of Southern Union's campus there at Wadley. And then Wadowee, this all goes south of them as well. So we've got a confirmed tornado out here in this rain-wrapped mess in northern Chambers County. This will be in Georgia in about 20 minutes. So we'll stay on it as long as it's in Chambers County. Once it goes out of Chambers and into Georgia, we'll turn it loose. But you need to take cover. If you live north of Lafayette, north of Buffalo, north of 5 Points there, this will be along Highway 431 up in the far northern part of the county here. So here's Roanoke. There's Wadley. Southern Union's right over there. And your tornado, your confirmed tornado is right here, approaching US 431. And then Lime and Bacon Level. Those are fun names, aren't they? How about that? So take cover. You live up here, Chambers County, southern Randolph County. And we'll say this, I think this goes south of the town center of Roanoke, but it will be
Very close.
some of you that write Roanoke on your return address will be impacted by this. This is going to clip the far southern part of the town of Roanoke and then head on over towards Georgia. So we will stick with it as long as it's in Chambers County, because we do know there are some people who watch us in Chambers, mainly the southern sections of the county. But at this point, we'd rather be safe than sorry with you. So northern Chambers, stay in that tornado safe.
It looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for Lee, and that does include both Auburn and Opelika. So that's that storm, that big complex of storms we were tracking earlier. Could cause some wind damage, wind issues in Auburn, Opelika, and mainly along the I-85 corridor.
Yep, and the way that's moving, it's a little north of due east. So I would suspect the greatest risk of wind damage in that is sort of the northern part of the polygon there. From Auburn to Opelika points north, I think that's where we could have some really strong straight line winds. So northern Lee County, just stay put, stay inside as well. Updates from the National Weather Service in Mobile. They say the tornado watch expires at 8 p.m., but they think they'll be able to cancel several of the counties prior to that time. So we agree with that.
And they did that earlier with Birmingham, with Marengo was allowed to expire early. So,
and speaking of what's next, let me show you. So this is 5 o'clock this evening, and I would say this is the graph. This is going to be very accurate, I think. Some scattered thunderstorms over here, larger cluster of fairly weak storms in the middle of the state, but those could intensify in the evening. And then overnight, as the actual cold front draws a little closer, unfortunately, I think we're going to do this all over again in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even as late as, say, 10 o'clock in the southeastern corner of the state. For most of it's gone before that, but this could linger quite a while. There could be an additional wave of storms that comes in overnight that we sort of have to do the same song and dance over again.
yeah, and unfortunately overnight, that key word. So before you head to bed tonight, if we're in a lull in activity, you got to put those active plans in place on having a weather radio on, having the First Alert weather app on, having multiple ways to wake you up if you go to sleep. And these storms move through the area, because nighttime storms are no fun. We deal with those a lot here, and they're definitely not fun ones.
Extremely dangerous. Okay, so back down here into Macon and Bullock, National Weather Service telling us they're watching some storms there. Look at that.
Look at that net south of Union Springs.
And down around Inverness and Perote. Yeah, pretty stout rotation there. That's a tiny little storm. I mean, it is producing 4 lightning strikes.
Yeah.
It's tiny, but it is spinning like a top. Okay, so it's 3:37. We need to do some housekeeping stuff now, mainly you. So this fine young gentleman, meteorologist Nick Gunner, if you would go, we got to do radio.
Yes.
And get ready for the 4.
Yeah.
So you can take your breath, catch your breath, get some hydration, get everything prepped for the 4, knock out radio, do a weather app video, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Does that work?
Sounds good.
All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. So he's going to boogie and go do some work behind the scenes. You and I are going to hang out for a little while. So we have a storm we're watching down here in Bullock County. There's no formal tornado warning. It's southwest of Aberfoyle near the Inverness community. It is showing some pretty stout signatures of rotation here. Now, will it continue? Will it not? We don't know. But just be on alert from Aberfoyle over to Three Notch and Midway that you may need to move quickly here in the event of a brief spin-up type tornado. We have an active tornado warning to the north. It is for Chambers County. This storm produced an actual piece of tornado damage a few moments ago. It's right here. It's approaching U.S. Highway 431 right now along the Randolph-Chambers County line. There it is. It's going to be in Randolph County in under 5 minutes. So once that happens, if there are no other dangerous areas of weather, we'll be able to go back to programming briefly before WSFA 12 News at 4 gets underway. Fingers crossed that that happens, but it might not. So we'll just all sort of be on this together and just sort of watch and wait and see how this all pans out. So there you have it. Tornado warning for Chambers County, Alabama. That one's a confirmed tornado a few moments ago. Then we've got a couple of other areas of rotation that we're having to keep a close eye on. One of them is out here in Bullock County, south of Union Springs. Some other small pockets of weak rotation in Pike and Crenshaw. Remember, on a day like today, almost every storm is going to rotate. Us seeing rotation doesn't mean there's a tornado. If we want you to take cover, we will say that explicitly and in no uncertain terms. Right now, we don't see that anywhere other than Chambers County. We need to be paying attention in Bullock County and in Pike County and in Crenshaw County and in Wilcox County. So that's the state of affairs as the 4 o'clock hour approaches. We have a tornado warned storm in Chambers, possible wind damage, southern Chambers, Lee, northern Russell from straight line winds. We have storms in South Alabama that are beginning to show signs of rotation. Those could produce tornado warnings at any moment now. Then we have another cluster of storms back to the west that's producing isolated pockets of strong wind. To this point, those storms are fairly well behaved. They run from Monroe County, Wilcox County, back up towards Prattville, Millbrook, Lounsboro. We're watching them, but so far so good. Behind that, the tornado watch is actually starting to be trimmed back a little bit. Yeah, they're canceling some counties back here as we go into Chilton County, Perry County, Marengo County have all been canceled out of the tornado watch. Now, if you live in those counties, there could be additional problems late tonight, early tomorrow. So I can't give you an all clear from our first alert weather day yet, but there will be a lull between waves here. And for you in Marengo and Chilton and Perry County, you're starting to move into that time frame that will be a bit of a lull. So that's how this is sort of playing out for us at the moment. So back into Chambers and Randolph we'll go because that's our only active tornado warning. We'll also keep a close eye down there on that storm. I promise I've got you covered. I've got eyes in the back of my head. So this possible tornado is now almost exclusively in Randolph County. We'll go back to the debris tracker here and see if we still see any evidence of that tornado debris. It popped right there for just a scan or two as it skirted across the northern part of the county. So not overwhelming evidence, but it has the history, so just respect it. If you live in northern Chambers, just stay in that tornado safe spot for a bit longer. Won't have to be in there for much longer. Northern Chambers, this will be out of your hair no later than 3:50 in this afternoon. This specific storm. More could form later, but this one by 3:50, you're done with that. Back down to the south, let's keep a really wary eye on this development here. This is in Bullock County, south of Union Springs. This storm exhibiting some signs of rotation as it heads in towards Aberfoyle. This is a very, very small thunderstorm, but it is spinning and spinning and spinning. So that's why we'll have to keep a wary eye on that. As far as coverage is concerned, we're going to stay in coverage as long as Chambers County is included in the list of dangerous storms. Once they cancel the tornado warning for northern Chambers, we will attempt to go back to programming briefly before 4 o'clock, primarily so that we can get hydrated, rest the voice for just a moment because this is going to be a long night, and also do some analysis and some prep work for WSFA 12 News first at 4. That starts in 18 minutes. So we will not have much time to do much prep work, but some would be good. So that would allow us to serve you better. So that's going to be our game plan. We're going to hope that we're able to do that. It will depend on this storm and this storm, though, and how they behave. As I told you, there's a severe thunderstorm warning for these storms over here, Wilcox County into Butler County. These capable of producing strong straight-line wind gusts. They are moving towards the northeast. So far, they are showing no signs of rotation. Let's hope that continues. As they move northeast, they move into an area with adequate wind shear to produce rotation and produce potentially some isolated tornadoes. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on in the Montgomery area later on. As these come on through over the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. So that's the whole lay of the land for the entirety of the state. These storms, possible wind damage in spots, mainly southwest of Montgomery. Otherwise, it's raining hard and there's lightning. These storms are beginning to rotate, but so far they're not strong enough to get that rotation down to the ground. And then we have the one remaining active tornado warning over in northern Chambers County. I'm in constant communication with the National Weather Service. They're talking about all the storms that we've been telling you about. We're all on the same page here, so that's happy news to report there. So this is the reason we're on TV right now, is this one. It is almost out of the county. So like I said, by 3:50, this is going to be out of Chambers County entirely, maybe before then. And quite frankly, there's really no strong evidence of rotation at this point in time. So we will stick with this, obviously. We were going to respect that red shape, that tornado warning there. But we'll tell you what we see, too. So the National Weather Service saying a severe squall line capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage located along the line from Crystal Lake to Standing Rock. So that's what they've done here. They're just going to kind of let this ride until 4:15, because really up and down this line there could be brief tornadoes. There could also be strong straight-line wind gusts. And I've got to get you ready for this, too, down in Lee County. You live in Lee County, Auburn to Opelika, there is a substantial risk of damaging straight-line wind gust within the next 20 minutes. So we've got to stay weather aware here in Lee County. These storms also could produce a brief tornado at any moment. So this is just going to be sort of one of these long extended stretches where we are kind of juggling different storms. We see rotation, it produces a tornado or it doesn't, and then it goes away. And then the next one forms somewhere else over and over and over. So that's where we are right now. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cleburne and Randolph until 4:15. So that's the update in East Alabama. Now, West Alabama, things are a little more behaved over here, but it's still not perfect, is it? We've got some pretty intense thunderstorms here. Happy to report in Butler County, that storm is weakened. It's no longer producing the risk of strong straight-line wind gust. Back here to the west in Wilcox and northern Monroe, there's still some potential for damaging straight-line wind. So Camden down Highway 41 south towards the Monroe County line, you need to be weather aware. This is another place where, as the storms move further north, they move into an area with more wind shear. We could start to see rotation. We don't see it now, and that is wonderful news. But we also can't give you an all clear yet, because there's still so much turning of the wind in the environment over Alabama today that we could spin up a tornado really at any given moment. And frankly, in any given storm, this is just going to be one of these where it constantly is going to be a possibility until we finally flush this out tomorrow morning. So Camden out towards Awin, Pineapple, and then southward into northern Monroe, stay weather aware, some risk of some strong wind with that. Quite frankly, the strongest storm here is actually a little outside of the polygon there in northern Monroe County. That one capable of producing strong straight line wind. We'll check into it, see if we see any signs of rotation. We do not as of this scan. Hopefully that trend continues. It can change very quickly, I can tell you, on a day like today. So back to Maxwell we'll go. So Chambers County, back into Lee County, a strong straight line wind scenario there. Let's go back and check into our friend here in Bullock County. This storm has been showing persistent signs of rotation on the south end of Union Springs. There you see it now around Aberfoyle. So the storm is spinning, but there's just not enough in it right now to drop that rotation all the way down to the surface of the earth and give us a tornado. So severe thunderstorm warning for Cleburne, Randolph, Lee, and Russell counties. Up and down the line we go. The other thing that's going to happen here, flash flooding. We've got to talk about this. As this all plays out over the next several hours, these clusters of thunderstorms are going to sweep over the same pieces of real estate over and over, and there are going to be areas where flash flooding becomes a life-threatening proposition. You know your situation better than I do. You know how often you have flooding around your home. You know if your home floods with some regularity. You know which roads in your area flood with regularity. But I would just impress upon you that there's a substantial risk of some pockets of flash flooding later this afternoon, into tonight, and yes, even into tomorrow morning. So just be kind of weather aware and weather ready for that as this whole thing plays out for us. So still the tornado warning, northeastern Chambers. That's the reason we're on television still. Strong straight line wind threat back into Chambers and Lee. More straight line wind, Wilcox, northern Monroe. Other thunderstorms that are not fun but are fairly well behaved now. Prattville, Millbrook, Deatsville, towards Coushatta, Slapout, Lounsboro, West Montgomery. It's raining hard in those places. There's some thunder and lightning in some of those places. But the overall prognosis for these storms right now is that they are behaving pretty well. National Weather Service telling us tornado count on the fly, 10 possible tornado tracks so far today. The first 5 of those were pretty obvious. The last 5 were mainly small, weak, brief signatures in the eastern counties. It will be tough to track some of these down. He is exactly right about that. Okay, they've canceled the tornado warning for Chambers County. So now there are no active tornado warnings in our area. There's a risk of damaging wind over here, southern Chambers and Lee, risk of damaging wind in Wilcox, but everyone's aware of all of these things. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We'll be back for WSFA 12 News at 4 with meteorologist Nick Gunner. We'll walk you through everything that we're seeing and to tell you what we expect to have happen over the rest of the night. This is not over, unfortunately. This is sort of the early to middle part of this whole environment. And as I'm saying those words to you, the National Weather Service says, meanwhile, it's back up into the 70s in Mississippi. It's warming up back there. New storms are going to form over here and move through. So it's already been a long day for us, and unfortunately, I'm afraid it is going to be a long night ahead as well. We will be back to talk more of those details on WSFA's First at 4, coming up in 10 minutes. See you then.